right ahead into the first segment. But before I do that, we have a very special guest with me today. I would like all of you guys to say hello to Eric. Eric, say hi.
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right, so Eric is the host of the wrestling podcast that starts at. You know what? Why don't you go ahead and tell them your bio since you're the one that runs the show.
All right, so I'm Eric Rodriguez. I'm the host of the GSMC Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about all things wrestling, WWE, to Ring of Honor, to TNA Impact, and recently we talk about like a lot of headlines, especially within the NWA, the North Wrestling Alliance. So yeah, just all things wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan, absolutely come join my show. This is a great show. Love watching Nelson doing basketball podcasts. Absolutely dope.
Oh, and
Pretty
he's
cool.
he's actually like a genius. Like he's really good at his podcast. There was this one point where he auto recorded the messages himself and interviewed himself, and I'm
Oh,
just like,
wow.
genius. No, like
That
that's
was
literally that's what you do when when you're in wrestling. Like
Yeah, definitely.
you come up with something on the fly. But let's talk about basketball because that's really what these people want to hear about. So, what do
All
you
right.
think of Jokic winning the MVP? So, like me personally, I always like, and just so you know, like my camera's up there, and that's why I'm not looking at you directly. So I'll look at you
Yeah,
directly, and and for the viewers, that's why I'm looking down because my monitor's down here, just so you guys know. And for the guys on the audio section, it really doesn't matter because you're just listening to our voices. So, so I mean, personally, I thought that MVP was very well deserved. If it was anybody other than Jokic winning that MVP, then I feel like these voters would have most definitely suffered from recency bias. I mean, Shai is a great player. I'm not saying that he's not a great player, but in terms of value towards a team, I don't think that Shai just provides that much value compared to what the value that Jokic provides because Shy, like, I mean, he still has a very, like, it's a young team, but it's still a pretty good team. And I understand that he's the one that's sort of doing all of the scoring and all of the heavy lifting on the offensive side of the ball. But so is Jokic. And Jokic at the same time is making his other teammates better just by with his passing alone and like his playmaking and how elite he is on the offensive side of the ball, as well as like causing deflections and being a presence in the paint. Like a lot of people don't really give Jokic credit for some of the defense that he plays, but that's just my thought process on the MVP. Like, I mean, I just think that Jokic and like his numbers, they're just and the way that and the fact that he's constantly been winning, it's just too much just to like not give him the MVP.
I agree, 110%. I honestly think he should be four times running MVP. Last year, Joel Embiid won it. Embiid's one of those other players that will probably with him off the roster, the 76ers that don't really have a chance. But I'm happy that Jokic won this award. I think he's more than deserving. I think in the contemporary play of NBA, I think we were talking basketball yesterday about the spacing, how you need to be agile, you need to have great endurance, stamina. So for a big man like Jokic to kind of prosper in a league like this, I think that's very impressive, and it's all deserving, definitely.
And with this MVP, Jokic now owns the most MVPs by any international player ever. So he has three of them. Giannis has two, Tim Duncan has two, and Steve Nash has two. And those are the other like international players that have as many MVPs. So what
Well
do you think
deserving,
about that?
well deserving. I think a lot of great names up there. Like you said, I'm a Spurs fan. Love Tim Duncan. A lot of these big men, especially in contemporary game of NBA, like it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to keep up with these guys. Like I think I kind of have a theory. Obviously this is my opinion, but I think that's kind of the reason why maybe Joel Embiid and maybe Anthony Davis keep getting injured. It's because they're relatively big guys, and for them to kind of push their bodies to do these things that like SGA can do or that Brunson or Hart or whatever. I feel like that's probably why they strain themselves, their muscles, and just they try to like be better. I don't know. Like the center spot in the NBA has changed. The game has changed. You kind of have to be well-rounded player. You kind of have to shoot threes. Back in when I was watching NBA, these guys, hey, stand in the paint, throw you the ball. You get, you bump into your guy and you score the easy layup. But
average
nowadays you see
average 80 center.
yeah, exactly. Now you see Embiid out there chucking threes and Karl Anthony
I mean,
Towns, and you're
you
like,
said you're a
dude, like,
Spurs fan. Look at Victor Wembanyama. Tween, tween.
yeah,
Like,
yep, exactly. Wemby, he's gonna do great things for us. Like how tall he is and just how dominant. I'm looking forward to the future, definitely. And I think I saw something that where Wembenyama, Luka Doncic, and who's the other guy? Giannis Antetokounmpo both like kind of agree that because Serbia, that's where Jokic is from. I think they said European basketball's more like physical than the
yes,
NBA.
yes, no, no, that is actually very accurate. The rules in your European basketball are very different than the rules in the NBA, and what they allow in FIBA and the Olympics is also different than what they allow in the NBA. They allow a lot of defenders to actually like make contact with some of the players,
Yeah,
and they also like they don't see flopping, and like
right.
they don't give like other players any kind of leeway, if that makes sense, because that's sort of what it feels like. And to answer your question on why a lot of these big men keep getting injured, a majority, well, for Embiid's case specifically, Embiid spends most of the time landing on the ground. So
That's
it makes
true.
complete sense that he eventually gets injured because it's like he goes up and then immediately on the ground. And I'm not trying to be like dramatic or disrespectful towards Joel Embiid in any way, but that's literally what he does. Like every
Yeah,
time
no,
he
it's
goes up.
true. The audience, we watch it, we see it, and I think you were bringing up flopping and stuff like that, and how them like someone could just brace someone or just look at them the wrong way, and they're like, "Whoa!" Like all of a sudden they fall back and they try to get the foul and stuff like that. And I don't know, I kind of miss the way the NBA was a little more physical, but you see all these points being put up, you see a lot of fast breaks, a lot of dunks. It's good ratings, so I can imagine why the NBA has kind of tweaked things a little bit for better ratings and for more
You could
audience.
also like flip it and say that all these 3-point shots just make it boring, especially when they go on
Yeah,
stretches where they miss.
exactly, exactly. I think we were in a production meeting once, and I think you brought this up how Paul Pierce said that Steph Curry changed the game, so he's like one of the best NBA players.
Hmm.
And it's kind of true. Like when Steph Curry, when he was in his run with Golden State, and they were just dominant. They were just 3-point shooters. You had Steph, Clay, and I think back in the day, like Draymond Green even hit a couple of threes, and then they picked up Durant, and then it just made the game like. I think that's maybe kind of pushed me away. That's kind of when I took a break from the NBA because I was like, okay, these guys are just going to be shooting the whole time. I kind of miss the physicality of it and the people chirping in each other's ear and stuff. But this is the game that we love.
Right. And I mean, and a lot of, I mean, there are some players that do chip at their ear. I mean, Anthony Edwards, he's a prime example of one of them.
Yeah,
And I mean, Shy, he does that with his game. Like I will say, like he talks the talk with his game, and he is also like rather enthusiastic, especially in his Instagram posts. Like if you he makes some ridiculous captions, and he posts like all sorts of like clips of him cooking a specific defender, and like that's
yeah.
sort of his way of taunting. And speaking of Shy, he is the first player since 1967 to average 30 points per game on the number one seed in the Western Conference and not win the MVP.
Wow, that's crazy. That's bananas.
Yeah, and a lot of people are sort of saying that Shy was robbed of this award, or that Luca was robbed of this award because Luca's numbers towards the end of the year, he was after All Star break, he was averaging 38 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, something like that. Like those were his numbers, and they were absolutely ridiculous. And they say like they're saying that Jokic was robbed of, well, not that Jokic was robbed. Jokic robbed them of winning that award.
Yeah, all very, very impressive stats. The MVP award, like you mentioned before, kind of is one of those things where I maybe the past the NBA championship maybe could have, been like a blurred line that maybe subconsciously persuaded these voters to be like, well, he won the championship last year, so they can't do it without Jokic. But I don't know. I just like this guy. I like this guy from Serbia. He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. I heard that, and I was like, really? So then I did some research, and I was like, dude, that's crazy.
Yes, he
Like,
did. He was drafted in a Taco Bell commercial, and now he has now he's probably the best Denver Nugget ever.
yeah, exactly. Be like, oh, cool, here comes this, this badass guy from Serbia. Oh, the quesarito crunch wrap is coming back to Taco Bell. Like, that's cool. Like, it's
It's
just cool
just
how it
the
all
that was
unfolded.
incredibly cruel.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
That
cruel.
was
But
crazy.
how
But
do
these
you
guys,
feel? How do you feel about MVP being like reserved for best player on best team? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Because that's essentially what the MVP is. Like most of the MVPs that win it, they're very high in the seedings, and their teams have a lot of wins.
yes, exactly. They're the star players, quote unquote star players. They're definitely a lot more marketable on their teams. Like just kind of running through the lines, we have Steph Curry, LeBron James. I think even James Harden won it in the recent like decade. And
Yeah,
these
he
guys
has.
are, yeah, these guys are shooters and stuff like that, man. And just it's kind of hard not to put them in the MVP category solely because
I mean, to be fair,
that
LeBron's kind of a
puts
dunker.
yeah, that's true. That's true as well. But honestly, they get people to buy tickets, they get people to buy merchandise, they put the butts in the seats. So I think maybe that's the reason why mostly star players are. But there's a lot of role players that deserve. Like I said before, I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, and growing up, you had the big three. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, but Manu Ginobili was a six man. He would come off from the bench and just absolutely like torch so the star players could take a break and sit down on the bench for a little bit, and then Manu Ginobili would run the offense, and he was good.
Are you just like trying to say that like maybe there's other players that are like just as valuable than like the best player on the best team? Is that like what you're getting at?
Exactly,
Ah,
exactly.
okay. Because I was wondering like where you were getting at. I was like, because usually whenever I ask this question, they usually say something like, yes, it shouldn't be a team. It should not be like team record shouldn't affect it because like the most valuable player is going to be the player that can put up the best numbers in their
That's
thought
true. Yeah.
process. But I
No,
do understand
I
what you
think
were
so.
talking about, how Ginobili was coming off of the bench, and he's one of like Argentina's best players ever for their international team, and
Yeah,
he was coming off of the bench for the NBA, but it was whatever the team needed to win. Like that was his game, and that was the Spurs game, all about winning,
yeah,
and
exactly. And
his
yeah,
value was sort
honestly,
of a little bit undermined throughout
I think
because
so. Yeah.
I don't really hear that many people talking about Tony Parker or Manu Ginobili, especially when they're talking about like top point guards that the NBA has seen. Now that I think about it, Tony Parker has a Finals MVP.
Yeah, no, he was Tony Parker from France. He's definitely was a star player. A lot of those Spurs players kind of kept it
Those Spurs players,
like
like they quietly changed the game. Like
yes,
Manu
exactly.
Ginobili, he invented the Euro step, and Tony Parker, he revolutionized the floater. Like
Yeah, oh my God.
those
Yeah,
like
no, that's
and
exactly true.
it's the fact that these guys like they don't get talked about. It goes exactly back to your point saying how it's all about flashiness, and how Tim Duncan and like Ginobili and all of these guys, they are not flashy. And honestly, that might be why a lot of people are disliking Jokic for winning this award, because he's not flashy. And Shai and Luka, they're both very flashy.
Yeah, no, that honestly, you hit the nail on the head right there. And Jokic isn't your like average ordinary NBA star posting on Instagram all the time, dunking on people, like, making
And
posters and
even then,
stuff
I
like
still think
that.
his moves are like so clean. Like how could you hate on that?
They are. Like he has the ability to kind of like he's kind of this bigger guy, and he doesn't have like, he's not like the best physique, but he's big. He's very big. He can facilitate. He's a passer. He can, make moves in the paint and stuff like that to get to the basket, and he can shoot threes. Like this guy's the all
Right.
around probably one of the best that the NBA has seen in terms of big man who can do it all.
Right, but with that, we are out of time for this first segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the fun segment where we both talk about the Knicks game against the Pacers. We both like New York teams. We both like the New York Knicks, and we both hope that they succeed in the postseason. So I will be right back with you guys after this short break. Well, actually, my bad. We will be right back with you after this short break. I'm used to saying I. Oops. But we'll be back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the